What is going on, everyone? Hope y'all are doing well, and in this video we're going to talk about several different ways to build wealth with little to no money. I believe that this could be beneficial to everyone in some way, shape, or form. But with all that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so there are several different categories to build wealth, and in order to talk about the different ways to build wealth, we need to first describe what these different categories are. In my opinion, you have to succeed in at least 3 of these, and they are to save more, make more, and either invest more or start a business. When it comes to saving, we are currently living in an environment where over half of the people in the US are living paycheck to paycheck. We are in the wealthiest nation in the world, and yet over half are living paycheck to paycheck? That doesn't make much sense in my opinion. Now don't get me wrong, inflation has not helped, but that still doesn't fully answer the question why people are living paycheck to paycheck. I believe that many people simply do not have a budget or struggle to track their spending. When you keep a budget, you're able to follow the principle of paying yourself first. Basically what happens is once you get a paycheck, you put a certain amount of money away into savings so that you'll have less money to spend on other items. So saving more money is the first category. The second category is to make more money. Now I know in some circumstances this isn't available for people, but if you're in a position where you can leverage your skills to get a raise or a new job, then by all means do it. That doesn't mean you go overboard with the kind of raise or pay that you want, but I would search in your area and see what people are making in your position. And if there's room for a raise, or you know that there are other assets that you can bring to your company, then share that in some of the reasons why you should get a raise. The third category is to invest more. What I mean is invest in other companies that will generate solid returns for you. And one way you can invest more is by smashing that like button. But in all seriousness, you can invest in several different ways, from the stock market to crypto to local businesses as well. If you want stability and still be able to grow your wealth, then put it in an index fund and let it grow over time as you continue to dollar cost average, which basically means invest your money on a regular basis. For some people, that could be daily, for others weekly, but find a system that works best for you. And the last category is to start a business. So rather than investing in a company, you're investing in your own skills. And we will be focusing on this category for the majority of the video. Not everyone is going to start a business, but you will be able to figure out your skill set so you can either start a business or just do some small things on the side that can make extra money. Many skills to start a business or a side hustle can be learned. And so I want to share 5 things that I believe will help you be able to start that business or side hustle. And the first is by reading books. Now I have to admit, books are not the go-to for me. I tend to be more of a podcast person. Although there are a few books that I would like to recommend because not only have they changed the way that I think about money, but they also changed the way that I think about setting goals and really understand what my true desires are. The first book I want to recommend is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some of you may have heard or read this book before, but it describes not letting money control you, but letting money work for you. Many times we let money dictate what we end up doing in our lives, but when we have dominion over our finances, there is a level of freedom that comes from that. For me, I don't want to be rich or own fancy cars or have a massive home because my true desires don't align with those ideas. And that leads to the second book, which is called The 12-Week Year. This is a great book in my opinion if you want to create goals and keep track of how you're doing with those goals. For me, this book helped me motivate myself into accomplishing many of my goals because I understood my why and I had the opportunity to track my progress on a daily basis. And the last book that I would recommend is called Set for Life. This book gives people a different way to think about money because many believe that if they have all this money, then they would be satisfied. But the reality is that your main reason to have lots of money is not to be filthy rich, but it's to have the freedom to do what you want on a regular basis, whether that's spend more time with family or be able to travel or simply just being a part of something that you love doing. So this book helps you see ways to reach your true goals in the long term from a financial perspective. But if you're interested in any of these, I will leave a few links in the description down below. But the second way to build wealth with no money is by finding a career that you enjoy. I've seen way too many people have aspirations for high-paying jobs and then they just quit because it wasn't worth the money to them. And this is why I believe that you really need to find something that you are passionate about, regardless of how much money you end up making. When you find something that you're passionate about, you won't care much about the money perspective. For myself, I'm actually a youth and worship pastor at a church in Georgia. I'm passionate about sharing the truth about Christianity because our world has gotten it all wrong. So even though I don't have a high-paying job, my passion allows me to pursue it wholeheartedly. But if you are wondering what you enjoy doing, my challenge to you is one day each week, try something different. Use Google and YouTube as a friend and find out what interests you. Using these platforms is completely free, and there is value in a skill set that someone will be willing to pay you for. I know people who flip items on Facebook Marketplace because they're just creative. The third way to build wealth with no money, as cliche as it sounds, is to build connections. The more connections you make, the more opportunities you will have to not only find things that you enjoy doing, but also be able to find jobs and side hustles within that field. I was able to buy my second house because my wife and I had some great connections at our church who pointed us to some great lenders and agents. I truly believe that making connections is one of the most undervalued things anyone can ever do. You are only as good as the knowledge that you bring. So when you have multiple people working together on a project, business, or a side hustle, you may be able to get greater returns. So spend time learning from others. Work for free if you have to, and see what they do and how they do it. Don't just wait for this to happen. See how you can bring value to that person. And through that connection, it could put you in a good position with whatever career you end up with. The fourth way to build wealth is to take risks. We are honestly in one of the most entrepreneurial times ever. Technology has advanced to incredible measures, and it is only going to continue to grow. So be an entrepreneur yourself. Figure out what are some problems you see in the world and find out what solutions can be made for them. If you don't see a problem, then you don't have a business. One thing I love doing is take at least an hour or two and create an event on my whiteboards, asking the questions, what do people desire and how can I meet those needs? And then once I feel like I have a solid plan, then I go for it. Especially when you consider things like using Facebook Marketplace, you'll have plenty of room to improve with minimal cost. If you fail, even if you paid $20 for that item, I would more than likely say that that lesson is worth $20. And the last way to build your wealth with no money is to understand and figure out which asset class you want to invest in. Now, this is super important in my opinion. I've seen so many people lose thousands of dollars because they were in the wrong crypto, or they picked a stock that they thought was going to perform well and then all of a sudden it goes bankrupt. And after they've lost all that money, they stopped investing altogether. But you need to figure out which assets you want to learn and grow in. For some people, real estate might be too much, even though in my mind, it is probably the greatest wealth builder. For others, valuing companies might be too difficult to comprehend. So just putting it into an index fund is perfectly fine for you. But the last thing you want to do is get into something and then when it loses value, you sell out and lose all that money because you didn't like the asset that you were in. So take this time before you have a lot of money to understand what asset classes you feel comfortable with and enjoy the most. But those are a few ways I have been able to build wealth with little to no money. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button down below. That helps this channel in a massive way. And I would also love to hear your thoughts on building wealth, so feel free to mention them in the comments down below. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you are notified when new content comes out. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.